Valente. The phone cuts through the sterile silence of Dominic Valente's penthouse office at 2:47 a.m. Not his usual line, but the private number he hasn't changed in 2 years. The one only 3 people in the world still have. He stares at the unknown number flashing across the screen, his century-old instincts prickling. Nothing good comes from calls at this hour. Mr. Valente? The voice is young, female, professionally calm, but with an undercurrent of urgency. This is Nurse Hoffman from Cedar Grove Medical Center. I'm calling about Lily Brennan. She's 4 years old, brought in tonight with a severe asthma attack. She's stable now, but she's asking for her daddy, and the mother gave us this number. The world stops. Lily, 4 years old. Dominic's hand tightens around the phone until the metal casing groans. His other hand grips the edge of his mahogany desk, and he forces himself to breathe. An old habit from his human days that serves no purpose now except to center him. Before we continue, please prove my mom wrong. She says I can't hit 1,000 subscribers. Okay, let's continue. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Sir, visiting hours? 10 minutes. He's already moving before he ends the call, his movements a blur even by vampire standards. The penthouse on the 92nd floor of the Valente building empties behind him. His driver, Thomas, barely has time to open the town car door before Dominic's inside, his pale fingers already working his phone. What hospital? Thomas asks, because he's worked for Dominic long enough to know when questions are pointless, and when they're necessary. Cedar Grove Medical. Emergency entrance. The city blurs past the tinted windows. Dominic's reflection stares back at him. Black hair swept back, sharp cheekbones, eyes that look gray in some lights, and black in others. The face that convinced Forbes he was 35 when he gave that interview 3 months ago. The face that hasn't aged a day since 1847. Lily Brennan, 4 years old. The math screams at him. 2 years and 9 months since Rosalind Brennan walked out of his life with nothing but a worn duffel bag and eyes too bright, too determined. 2 years and 9 months since he let her go because he convinced himself it was the right thing to do. She'd been his assistant for 11 months before that. Quiet, competent, with an almost supernatural ability to anticipate his needs before he voiced them. She'd started as a temp, filling in when his previous assistant had retired to the Maldives with the generous severance package Dominic provided to all his long-term staff. The agency sent Rosalind with an apologetic note about her lack of experience in high-profile corporate environments. Dominic had almost sent her back after the first day. She was too soft, too gentle for the razor-edged world of vampire politics, disguised as international finance. She jumped when he spoke too sharply. She apologized for things that weren't her fault. But she'd stayed late that first night, organizing his archives without being asked, and when he'd found her at midnight surrounded by century-old contracts, she'd looked up with dirt smudged on her cheek and said, "Did you know you have a letter from Oscar Wilde in here? It's beautiful. You should frame it." No one had called anything in his collection beautiful before. Valuable, yes. Rare, certainly. But beautiful? He'd kept her. Cedar Grove Medical Center rises ahead, a squat brick building with 2 bright lights and the antiseptic smell that seeps through even the car's sealed windows. Dominic is out before Thomas fully stops, his long coat billowing behind him as he strides through the automatic doors. The emergency room is controlled chaos, crying children, exhausted parents, nurses moving with practiced efficiency. The smell of blood and fear and human suffering washes over him, and he has to lock down his instincts, the predatory part of him that never fully sleeps. "Lily Brennan," he says to the nurse at the desk, and his voice carries enough command that she looks up from her computer immediately. "Are you family? I'm her father." The lie, if it is a lie, comes out smooth as silk. The nurse's eyes flicker over him, taking in the $10,000 suit, the handmade Italian shoes, the watch that costs more than most people's cars. She's making calculations, he can see it, trying to reconcile his obvious wealth with the patient file that probably lists Rosalind's address as that cramped apartment in the East Side he'd found for her when she first moved to the city. Room 7 through those doors. She's with her mother now. He doesn't run. Running would draw attention, but he moves with purpose, his heart, silent in his chest for over a century, somehow managing to ache anyway. Room 7's door is half open. Through it, he can see a small bed with rails, and in that bed, a tiny figure with dark curls spread across a pillow. An oxygen mask covers half her face, but her eyes, gray-blue and wide, are fixed on the woman sitting in the chair beside her. Roslyn. She looks exactly the same and completely different. Her honey-brown hair is longer, pulled back in a messy knot at her neck. She's thinner, wearing scrubs that have seen better days and white sneakers that are clean but worn at the toes. But it's her eyes that stop him. Those amber-brown eyes that used to light up when he walked into a room now carry shadows he's never seen before. She's holding Lily's small hand, murmuring something too low for normal hearing, but Dominic catches every word. "Going to be fine, baby bird. You're so brave, so strong. Mommy's right here. I'm not going anywhere." "Want Daddy?" the small voice says, muffled by the mask. And Roslyn's face crumples for just a moment before she smooths it back into something calm and reassuring. "I know, sweetheart. I know." Dominic knocks softly on the doorframe. Roslyn's head snaps up, and the expression that crosses her face is too complex to parse. Shock, definitely, and something that might be relief or might be dread. Her hand tightens on Lily's. Dominic. Just his name, said in that voice he's heard in his dreams, the ones he shouldn't have anymore, but does anyway. "Daddy!" The little voice is stronger now, excited, and the small figure tries to sit up. Roslyn immediately stands, gentle hands pressing her daughter back down. "Carefully, Lily. You need to rest." But those gray-blue eyes, his eyes, Dominic realizes with a jolt that goes through him like lightning, are fixed on him with absolute certainty and joy. He crosses to the bed in 3 strides, and then he's looking down at this tiny person with his eyes and Roslyn's curls, and a smile that's wobbling but determined. "Hello, little one," he says, and his voice comes out rougher than he intends. Small fingers reach up, and he takes her hand carefully, terrified of his own strength. Her skin is warm, her pulse fluttering against his palm like a captured bird. "You came," Lily says. "Mommy said you might be busy, but you came." Over her head, Dominic meets Roslyn's eyes. There's a story there, one he doesn't understand yet. Roslyn's throat works as she swallows, and she looks away first. "I'll always come when you need me," Dominic says, and means it with everything he has. A nurse bustles in, checking monitors and making notes on a tablet. "Vitals are looking much better. You did great, sweetheart." She smiles at Lily, then glances at Dominic. "We'll want to keep her for observation for a few more hours, but if everything stays stable, she can go home in the morning." "Thank you," Roslyn says quietly. The nurse leaves. Lily's eyes are already drooping, the crisis and the medication pulling her toward sleep. Her small hand stays wrapped around Dominic's finger. "Mommy said you're a king," she mumbles, the words slurring together. "Are you really?" Dominic's lips quirk. "Something like that." "That's good." A yawn. "Mommy needs a king. She's always tired." The words hit harder than they should. He looks up at Roslyn, taking in the exhaustion carved into her features, the way she's holding herself together through sheer will. "Sleep now," he murmurs to Lily. "I'll be here when you wake up. Promise. Promise." She believes him. Just like that, with the simple faith of a child who's never been lied to, she lets her eyes close. Her breathing evens out within minutes, and her hand goes slack in his. Dominic carefully extricates himself, making sure she's settled before he straightens. Roslyn hasn't moved from her position on the other side of the bed, her arms wrapped around herself like she's cold. "We should talk," he says quietly. "Not here." Her voice is barely a whisper. "There's a family room down the hall." She leads him to a small space with uncomfortable chairs and a coffee maker that's seen better days. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead. Roslyn doesn't sit. Neither does he. "She's mine." It's not a question. Rosalind's chin comes up, that stubborn tilt he remembers. Yes. Were you ever going to tell me? I tried. The words come out sharp, and she immediately dials it back, conscious of the people sleeping on the other side of the thin walls. I tried, Dominic. I called your office 3 times after I found out. Your new assistant said you were in Prague, then Singapore. Then you were in meetings. I sent emails. She breaks off, pressing her fingers to her temples. It doesn't matter now. It matters. He keeps his voice level through force of will. I have a daughter who doesn't know me, who's been asking for me while I've been building your empire, attending galas, dating European socialites. Rosalind's eyes flash. I saw the articles, Dominic. You've been busy. I haven't dated anyone. The words come out harder than he intends. Those socialites are business associates. You know how the press works. She laughs, but there's no humor in it. Do I? I used to manage your calendar, remember? I know exactly how many of those business dinners end with someone in your bed. Never. The word cracks between them. Not once. Not since... He stops, but they both know what he was going to say. Not since her. Rosalind looks away, blinking rapidly. It doesn't matter. I'm not... This isn't about us. This is about Lily. Tell me. He moves closer, careful not to crowd her. Tell me what happened. Why you left. Why you didn't try harder to reach me. You want the truth? She turns back to him, and her eyes are blazing now. Fine. I did try harder. I showed up at your building 6 months pregnant. Security wouldn't let me pass the lobby. Your new assistant, Genevieve, came down personally to tell me you'd left strict instructions not to be disturbed by prior staff seeking to leverage previous employment relationships. Those were your exact words, apparently. The blood in Dominic's veins, cold and still for over a century, somehow manages to freeze further. I know. Rosalind cuts him off. I figured that out later. Genevieve was ambitious. She saw me as competition, I guess, even though I was clearly, she gestures at herself, not exactly in a position to compete. But by the time I realized she'd been blocking my calls, deleting my emails, I was 7 months along and I had a decision to make. You should have tried again. Why? The question is quiet but fierce. So you could what, Dominic? Offer me money? Set me up in some nice apartment where you could visit when it was convenient? I know what you are. Not just the vampire thing. Thomas told me that in the car the night you took me to the museum, and honestly, it explained a lot. I mean what you are in your world. Your royalty. Actual vampire royalty. And I was a temp with a GED and student loans from a community college I never finished. You think I care about that? I think you convinced yourself you were doing me a favor by keeping your distance. Her voice breaks. I heard you that night, Dominic. The night before I left, you were on the phone with someone. I came back to the office for my sweater and you were in the conference room. You said, she deserves a normal life. She deserves someone who can give her a future in daylight. You were talking about me. The memory surfaces, sharp and painful. A conversation with his oldest friend, Marcus, who'd questioned his relationship with his very human, very fragile assistant. Dominic had been defending his decision to keep things professional, to not pursue what he'd wanted from the moment Rosalind smiled at him over that Oscar Wilde letter. He'd failed at keeping things professional 3 weeks later. You misunderstood, he starts, but she's shaking her head. I understood perfectly. You were protecting me from yourself. Noble. Stupid. But noble. She wipes at her eyes angrily. So I made it easy for you. I left. I thought it would be clean. Simple. But then I found out I was pregnant, and everything got complicated, and her breath hitches. I did what I thought was right. I kept her. I love her so much, Dominic. She's everything. I can see that. His voice is gentler now. Rosalind, She asks about you constantly, Rosalind continues, the words tumbling out like she's been holding them in too long. I told her you were a king who lived far away, that you had important work to do, that you loved her but couldn't be here. and she accepted it because children accept what their parents tell them. But every birthday, every Christmas, every time one of her friends at daycare talks about their daddy, I see the question in her eyes. Why daddy, and not just a story about someone who didn't exist? Because she deserved the truth, as much of it as I could give her. Rosalind's shoulders sag, and because she has your eyes, Dominic. Your eyes and your stubborn chin, and this way of looking at people like she's trying to figure out all their secrets. How could I pretend you didn't exist when she's half you? The words settle between them, heavy and true. The asthma, Dominic says. Is it serious? She's had it since she was 2. Usually manageable, but tonight she was playing at her friend's house. They have a new cat, and Rosalind forgot to mention it when I dropped Lily off. By the time I got there, her voice cracks. She couldn't breathe. She was so scared, and in the ambulance she kept asking for you. Not just Daddy, but you specifically. Call the king, Mommy. The king will fix it. So you called. So I called. Rosalind looks at him directly. And you came. Of course I came. The words are inadequate, but they're all he has. Rosalind, if I had known, if I'd had any idea. I know. She sounds tired now, the fight draining out of her. Genevieve got fired, by the way. I looked her up after I calmed down from being blocked at your building. Turns out she was embezzling, made the papers. 6 weeks after you left. Dominic remembers. He'd been the one to discover it, going through files at 3 a.m. because he couldn't sleep, because the office felt wrong without Rosalind's presence. I handled it personally. I'm sure you did. A ghost of a smile crosses her face. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. I would have hired you back in a heartbeat. I know that, too. Rosalind moves to the coffee maker, pours herself a cup of something that looks like it's been sitting there since yesterday. She doesn't drink it, just holds it between her palms. But I was showing by then, and I'd already started working at the diner on 5th. Mabel, she's the owner, didn't care that I was pregnant. Gave me as many shifts as I could handle. Let me bring Lily to work when she was tiny. It's not much, but it's honest, and the tips are decent, and She stops, looking down at the coffee. You what? I didn't want to be the woman who trapped you with a baby. The words come out barely audible. I didn't want you to look at me and see an obligation. Dominic crosses the space between them in 2 strides. He doesn't touch her. Not yet, but he's close enough that she has to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. You could never be an obligation, he says, and puts everything he has into making her believe it. You and Lily. You're not something I have to deal with. You're everything I didn't know I needed until it was too late. Dominic, let me finish. His hand comes up, hovering near her face, and when she doesn't pull away, he lets himself cup her cheek. Her skin is warm under his palm, alive in a way that still amazes him after all these years of death. I let you go because I thought I was doing the right thing. Because I'm a monster who drinks blood to survive, who'll never age, who'll watch everyone I love turn to dust. Because you deserved someone who could take you to beach vacations and PTA meetings without bursting into flames. You're not a monster. I'm not entirely human, either. His thumb traces her cheekbone. But I should have let you make that choice. I should have fought for you instead of deciding what was best for you. And I definitely should have fired Genevieve the moment I suspected she was screening my communications. You couldn't have known. I knew something was off. I ignored it because it was easier than dealing with the fact that you were gone and I missed you every single day. His voice drops. I missed the way you organized my pens by color, even though I told you it didn't matter. I missed your handwriting on my calendar. I missed the sound of you humming while you filed. I missed you, Rosalind. All of you. And I've been half alive for 2 years, which is ironic given that I'm technically dead. She laughs, watery but real. That's a terrible joke. I know, you always laughed at my terrible jokes. Someone had to. Her free hand comes up to cover his where it rests against her face. What do we do now? Now? Dominic leans in slightly, giving her every chance to pull away. Now I meet my daughter properly. Now I make sure you both have everything you need. Now if you'll let me, try to be the man you both deserve. You're already the man she deserves. She's been waiting for you her whole life. And you? The question hangs between them. Have you been waiting? Rosalind's eyes search his face, looking for something he hopes is there. Every single day, she whispers. Even when I hated you for being so easy to leave. Even when I told myself I was over you. Every day. He kisses her then, soft and careful, like she's something precious that might break. She tastes like cheap coffee and salt from tears she hasn't let fall yet, and he wants to spend the next century learning every other flavor she contains. When they break apart, she's smiling, really smiling, for the first time since he walked into that hospital room. We should get back, she says. Lily will wake up soon, and she'll want to make sure you're still here. I'm not going anywhere. He takes her hand, lacing their fingers together. Not this time. Not ever. If you'll have me. That's a long time, Dominic. Forever is literally forever for you. I'm aware. He brings her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles. I've been alive for 178 years, Rosalind. I've seen empires rise and fall. I've watched the world transform a dozen times over. And in all that time, I've never felt more alive than I did during those 11 months with you. Than I do right now, standing in a hospital family room with terrible coffee and fluorescent lights. Holding your hand. You're going to make me cry. Please don't. I'm terrible with crying. Liar. You were wonderful when I cried about that client who yelled at me. I sent him a message from a ghost email address that made him think his company was being audited. Rosalind's eyes widen. You didn't. He never yelled at you again, did he? She's laughing now, and he thinks he'd do terrible things to keep that sound in his life. Good thing he's already damned. They walk back to Lily's room together. The hallway is quieter now, the night shift settling into its rhythm. Through the window in the door, Dominic can see his daughter sleeping, her small chest rising and falling steadily. The oxygen mask still in place, but her color better. His daughter. The thought still hasn't fully settled, but it's getting there. She'll have questions, Rosalind says quietly. Lots of them. She's incredibly smart, and she notices everything. I can handle questions. About why you weren't there before. I'll tell her the truth. Dominic looks down at Rosalind. That I made a mistake. That I let her mother go when I should have fought to keep her. That I've regretted it every day since. And that now that I've found them both again, I'm never letting go. She might not forgive you right away. That's okay. He squeezes her hand. I'm immortal. I can be patient. They push through the door quietly. Lily stirs as they approach, her eyes fluttering open. When she sees them together, her face lights up in a way that makes Dominic's chest ache. You stayed, she says to him, her voice muffled but happy. I promised. Didn't I? Mommy says kings have to keep their promises. Your mommy is very wise. Lily's eyes shift to where their hands are joined. A small smile curves her lips. Are you gonna marry Mommy? Rosalind chokes on air. Lily! What? You said you loved him. You told Aunt Mabel that you never stopped loving him, and that's why you don't go on dates, even though she keeps trying to set you up with her nephew, who's a dentist. We'll discuss your eavesdropping later, Rosalind says, her face bright red. Dominic is grinning. He can't help it. A dentist? He's very nice, Rosalind mutters. I'm sure he is. Dominic crouches down next to the bed, bringing himself to Lily's eye level. To answer your question, little one, I would very much like to marry your mommy if she'll have me, but that's something we need to talk about together, okay? Grown-up stuff. Okay, Lily yawns, but you should probably ask her soon. She's really tired of working at the diner. Her feet hurt all the time. Lily! Rosalind covers her face with her hands. What? They do. You soak them in that special water every night. Dominic stands, pulling Rosalind close. Is that true? I'm going to sell her to the circus, Rosalind says into his chest. No circuses, but maybe we should talk about the diner. I'm fine. I don't need... Rosalind. He tilts her face up to his. Let me help. Please. Not because I think you can't manage, but because you shouldn't have to do it alone. Not anymore. She's quiet for a long moment, and he can see the war happening behind her eyes. Pride versus practicality, independence versus the bone-deep exhaustion of being a single mother working herself to the breaking point. Okay, she finally whispers. Okay. Lily claps her hands together weakly. Does this mean we get to live in a castle? I have a penthouse, Dominic offers. It has a very nice view. Does it have a library? Mommy says all good castles have libraries. It has 3 libraries, actually. One of them has books that are older than the country. Cool. Lily's eyes are drooping again. Can I have a cat? Lily, you're allergic to cats, Rosalind reminds her gently. Oh yeah. A pause. Can I have a dog? Dominic looks at Rosalind, who shrugs helplessly. We've never had space for a dog. Then yes, Dominic says. You can have a dog. A small one. We'll figure out the logistics. Best day ever. Lily's words slur together as sleep claims her again. Rosalind sinks into the chair beside the bed, pulling the thin hospital blanket over Lily's legs. Dominic takes the other chair, the plastic creaking under his weight. You're going to spoil her, Rosalind says, but there's no heat in it. Absolutely. It's my right as a father who has 4 years of birthdays and Christmases to make up for. She'll be impossible. She'll be loved. He reaches across the space between their chairs, taking her hand again. You both will. They sit in comfortable silence for a while, watching Lily sleep. The monitors beep softly. Outside, the city is starting to wake up. Early morning traffic, the rumble of garbage trucks, the first hints of dawn that Dominic can feel in his bones, even through the walls. I need to leave soon, he says quietly, before the sun comes up. Rosalind's hand tightens on his. Right, I forgot. I'll come back tonight. And every night after, if you'll let me. During the day, I'll arrange for a car to take you wherever you need to go. And security. Security? You're the mother of my child, Rosalind. There are people in my world who might see that as leverage. I won't risk you or Lily. His voice hardens. Not ever. She studies him for a long moment. I forgot how intense you get. You forgot nothing. You just got better at pretending it didn't affect you. Maybe. A smile tugs at her lips. Or maybe I missed it more than I wanted to admit. Missed what? The way you look at me, like I'm the only person in the world who matters. You are, he says simply. You and Lily. Everything else is just noise. The nurse from earlier pokes her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but I need to check vitals. Dominic stands, reluctantly releasing Rosalind's hand. I should go anyway. I'll have Thomas bring some things for you. Comfortable clothes, real food, whatever you need. And I'll call my lawyer about getting my name added to Lily's birth certificate. Dominic. Unless you object? He pauses, suddenly uncertain. No, I want that. She deserves to have your name. Both of us do, eventually, if... She stops, flushing. If? He prompts, moving closer despite the nurse bustling around them. If you meant what you said. About marriage. About forever. He cups her face in both hands, tilting her head back so she has to meet his eyes. I have never been more serious about anything in my very long life. You and Lily are my family, my only family that matters. And I will spend every day for the rest of eternity proving that to you, if you'll give me the chance. That's a really long time. Good thing I'm patient. She laughs, and he kisses her again, slower this time, deeper, until the nurse clears her throat pointedly. Really need to check those vitals, she says, but she's smiling. Dominic pulls back reluctantly. Tonight, he promises Rosalind. I'll be back tonight. We'll be here, or home if they discharge us. Either way, I'll find you. He presses one more kiss to her forehead, then leans over the bed to kiss Lily's curls. Sweet dreams, little one. He's almost to the door when Rosalind calls his name. He turns. "Thank you," she says, "for coming, for staying, for everything. Thank you for calling, and for keeping her, for being strong enough for both of us when I was too much of a coward to fight for what I wanted. You're here now. That's what matters." He nods, committing the image to memory. Rosalind in the pale hospital light, exhausted but smiling, their daughter sleeping peacefully beside her. His family, his future. Thomas is waiting with the car when he exits through the emergency room doors. The sky is already lightening in the east, pink and gold bleeding across the horizon. "We need to hurry," Thomas says, pulling into traffic. "I know." Dominic leans back against the leather seat, his mind already racing ahead to everything that needs to be done. "Call my lawyer. I need him at the office tonight. And get me a list of the best pediatric specialists in the city. Asthma and allergies. Money is no object." "Of course, sir." Thomas glances in the rearview mirror. "If I may say so, it's good to see you like this." "Like what?" "Alive." The word hangs in the air. "You've been going through the motions for 2 years. Whatever happened tonight, whoever she is, I'm glad. Her name is Rosalind, and the little girl is Lily. He pauses, testing the words. "They're mine." Thomas's eyebrows rise, but he's too well trained to show more surprise than that. "Congratulations, sir." "Thank you." Dominic pulls out his phone, already composing emails. "Clear my schedule for the next week. Delegate everything that can be delegated. Anything that can't wait will have to happen at night. The Singapore deal can be handled remotely. I'm not leaving the city right now." They make it to the building with minutes to spare. Dominic takes the private elevator to the penthouse, watching the sun creep higher through the reinforced glass. By the time he reaches his rooms, his skin is tingling with the warning signs of dawn. He strips off his suit, hangs it carefully, some human habits never die, and closes the blackout shutters that seal his bedroom into darkness. The bed is enormous, custom-made, fitted with sheets that cost more than most people's monthly rent. It's also desperately, achingly empty. Not for long, he thinks, and lets himself smile in the darkness. He dreams, vampires do dream, despite the myths, of tiny hands and gray-blue eyes, and a laugh that sounds like home. When he wakes, it's full dark outside. His phone shows 37 missed calls and twice as many messages. He ignores all of them except the one from an unknown number. Lily's home. "We're at 437 East 23rd, apartment 4B. She wants to show you her room." He's showered, dressed, and in the car in under 10 minutes. East 23rd is not a bad neighborhood, but it's not a good one either. The building is old brick, fire escapes zigzagging up the front, the kind of place where people work hard and keep their heads down and hope for something better. Dominic hates it on sight. Hates that Rosalind has been living here, that his daughter has been growing up in a 4th-floor walk-up with peeling paint and a broken buzzer. He makes a mental note to have his real estate people start looking for something better immediately. But then the door to 4B opens, and Lily is standing there in pajamas covered in cartoon dragons, her face splitting into a grin that makes every muscle in his chest clench. "You came!" She launches herself at him, and he catches her automatically, careful of his strength. She's so small, so fragile, all bird bones and trust. "I promised, didn't I?" He steps inside, Lily still in his arms, and finds Rosalind watching from the kitchen doorway. She's changed into jeans and a soft sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders, and she's so beautiful it hurts. "Welcome to our humble abode," she says, gesturing around. The apartment is tiny but scrupulously clean. The furniture is mismatched but arranged with care. There are drawings on the refrigerator, childish scribbles of castles and crowns, and a tall figure that must be him. Books overflow from a small bookshelf. A basket of toys sits in the corner. It's nothing like his penthouse. It's also clearly filled with more love than his place has seen in a century. "Come see my room!" Lily wriggles to be put down, then grabs his hand and drags him down the short hallway. Her room is barely big enough for the twin bed and small dresser, but the walls are painted a soft purple, and there are glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. More drawings cover the walls, dragons and princesses and castles. And above the bed, a single framed picture of a man with dark hair and pale skin, clearly torn from a magazine. Him, from that Forbes interview. Mommy printed it from the library computer, Lily says, following his gaze. I wanted to know what you looked like. She said you were probably too busy being a king to visit, but that you loved me very much. Dominic has to clear his throat twice before he can speak. Your mommy was right about one thing. I do love you. Very, very much. But you weren't too busy? No, sweetheart, I didn't know about you, but now I do, and I'm here. And I'm not going anywhere. She considers this with the seriousness of a 4-year-old weighing important matters. Okay, do you want to see my dragon collection? For the next hour, he sits on her floor while she shows him every toy, every book, every treasure she's accumulated in her short life. She chatters nonstop, asking him questions about everything, where he lives, what he does, if he really has a library with old books, if he's met any other dragons, why he only comes out at night. He answers honestly where he can, creatively, where he can't. He tells her he works late hours, which is why he prefers nighttime. He promises to show her the libraries. He admits he's never met a real dragon, but would be very interested if she introduces him to any. Rosalind watches from the doorway, her expression soft and tender, and a little sad. When Lily finally starts to yawn, Rosalind steps in. Bedtime, baby bird. But Dominic just got here. I'll come back tomorrow, he promises. And the day after that. Every day if you want. Every day, Lily agrees firmly. She wraps her arms around his neck, and he holds her carefully, breathing in the scent of children's shampoo and innocence. I'm glad you're my daddy. I'm glad too, little one. So very glad. Rosalind tucks her in, and they stand together in the doorway, watching until her breathing evens out. She really loves you, Rosalind whispers as they move back to the living room. I was afraid, I don't know, that it would be awkward or that she'd be shy, but she's known about me her whole life, Dominic says. You gave her that. Even when I wasn't here, you made sure she knew she had a father who loved her. His voice catches. That's an incredible gift, Rosalind. Thank you. She sinks onto the worn couch, and he sits beside her, close enough that their knees touch. I couldn't let her think she wasn't wanted. Even if I was angry at you, even if I thought you'd made your choice, I couldn't let her carry that. You're an amazing mother. I'm a tired mother, she laughs, rubbing her eyes. I picked up extra shifts this week because Lily needed new shoes and her inhaler prescription went up. Mabel covered for me tonight, but I need to be back tomorrow by 6. No, she blinks. No? You're not going back to the diner. He raises a hand when she starts to protest. Not like that. I'm not forbidding you or anything archaic. I'm saying you don't have to. Let me take care of you, both of you, please. Dominic, I can't just... Why not? Give me one good reason why you should work yourself to exhaustion when I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. Because I'm not some kept woman. The words burst out of her. I'm not going to live in your penthouse and be... my wife. He takes her hands. Because that's the end game here, Rosalind. I don't want a mistress or a kept woman. I want you. As my partner. As my equal. As my wife. And I want Lily as my daughter. Legally and in every way that matters. She's staring at him like he's lost his mind. You can't just... We've been back in each other's lives for less than 24 hours, and you're talking about marriage? I should have married you 2 years ago. I should have gotten down on my knees and begged you to stay. I should have fought for you, and I didn't. And I've regretted it every single day since. He slides off the couch, kneeling in front of her, still holding her hands. I'm fighting for you now. For both of you. I'm not asking you to say yes right this second, but I need you to know that I'm serious. That this isn't some impulse because I found out I have a daughter. I loved you before I knew about Lily, and I love you more now, and I will love you for the rest of your life and long after. Tears are streaming down her face. You're going to outlive me by centuries. I know. And it's going to destroy me when you go. But I'd rather have 50 years with you than an eternity without you. Even if it means I spend the next 1,000 years missing you. That's the most romantic and depressing thing anyone has ever said to me. He huffs a laugh. I'm out of practice. You're doing fine. She slides off the couch to join him on the floor, framing his face with her hands. I love you. I never stopped. Even when I hated you, I loved you. But I need to know this is real, Dominic. I need to know you're ready for the reality of this. The school meetings and the birthday parties and the childhood illnesses. The ordinary, boring human stuff. I want all of it. He leans into her touch. Every sleepless night, every school play, every scraped knee. I want to teach her to ride a bike and help with homework and scare away boyfriends when she's 16. I want to grow old with you. He pauses. As much as I can. And when you're ready, when we've had our time together, I can turn you. If you want. Give you eternity, too. Her breath catches. You've thought about this. I've thought about nothing else since I left that hospital. What it would mean. What we could have. His thumbs stroke over her knuckles. But that's for later. Right now, I just need to know if you'll give me a chance. A real chance. Not as your employer or the father of your child, but as the man who loves you more than he's ever loved anything. Rosalind's smile is tremulous but real. You're really bad at taking things slow. 178 years teaches you not to waste time on things that matter. Is that a vampire thing or a you thing? Both. He pulls her closer until she's in his lap, her forehead resting against his. Say yes, Rosalind. Say you'll let me take care of you. Say you'll marry me eventually. Say you'll give us a chance. Yes to all of it, she whispers against his lips. Yes to everything. But we're taking it one day at a time. For Lily's sake. One day at a time, he agrees. Starting with getting you both out of this apartment. There's nothing wrong with this apartment. There's everything wrong with this apartment. The locks are inadequate. The fire escape is a death trap. And you're on the 4th floor with no elevator. We've managed fine. You've been extraordinary, but you don't have to just manage anymore. He stands, pulling her up with him. Let me do this, please. Let me find you somewhere safe, somewhere comfortable. You can decorate however you want. Lily can have a room big enough for all her dragons. You can have space for, he gestures around, whatever you want. An art studio, a library, a garden, anything. She's wavering, he can see it. What about your penthouse? Is yours if you want it. Or we can find something else, somewhere that feels like home for all 3 of us. I need to think about it. Take all the time you need. But in the meantime, he pulls out his phone, opens his banking app, and types quickly. I'm transferring money to your account. Enough to cover anything you and Lily need. Quit the diner. Take some time. Rest. Dominic, please. He looks at her, letting her see everything he feels. Let me do this one thing. You've been carrying everything alone for so long. Let me help carry it with you. Her resistance crumbles. Okay, yes, but I'm paying you back. Absolutely not. Dominic! Rosalind, I own 17 buildings in this city alone. I have investments that date back to the 1850s. I could buy and sell Fortune 500 companies without noticing the dent in my accounts. Please, for the love of everything unholy, let me spend money on my family without making it a fight. She laughs, helpless against his logic. You're impossible. I'm in love. There's a difference. He kisses her, slow and sweet, pouring everything he can't quite say into the press of his lips against hers. When they break apart, she's flushed and breathless, and he's definitely not thinking about what comes after marriage anymore. Not with Lily asleep down the hall. You should go, Rosalind says, but she doesn't let go of his shirt. It's late, and you probably have work, and I'm exactly where I want to be. Smooth talker. Only with you. He brushes a strand of hair behind her ear. But you're right. I should go. I have calls to make. My lawyer, my real estate people, my security team. I want everything in place before the week is out. You move fast. I have a lot of time to make up for. He steals one more kiss, then forces himself to step back. Lock the door behind me, and call me if you need anything. Anything at all. I will. He's halfway to the door when she calls his name again. He turns. This is real, right? It's not going to disappear in the morning? His heart, dead though it is, breaks a little at the vulnerability in her voice. It's real. I'm real. This is happening, and I'm not going anywhere. I promise you, Rosalind, on everything I am, everything I have. I'm here. I'm yours. Forever, if you'll have me. She nods, blinking back tears. Forever sounds pretty good, actually. It sounds perfect. He leaves before he can change his mind and stay, taking the stairs down 2 at a time. Thomas is waiting with the car, and Dominic spends the drive back to his building on the phone, setting wheels in motion that will change everything. By the time the sun rises, he's purchased a brownstone in a better neighborhood, hired a full security detail, transferred enough money to Rosalind's account that she'll never have to worry about bills again, and put his lawyer on notice that he wants custody papers drawn up, a marriage contract prepared, and every legal protection in place for his family. His family. The words still feel new, strange, and wonderful in his mouth. He falls asleep as dawn breaks, and dreams of dragons and dark-haired girls, and a future that suddenly looks nothing like the endless, lonely centuries he'd resigned himself to. 3 months later, Rosalind walks down the aisle of a small chapel just as the sun sets, Lily dancing ahead of her in a flower girl dress that makes her look like a princess. Dominic waits at the altar in a perfectly tailored suit, and when Rosalind reaches him, when she takes his hand and promises forever, he thinks that maybe, just maybe, immortality isn't a curse after all. Not when he gets to spend it with them. And when Lily, 7 years old now, sharp and clever, and so much like her mother it hurts, asks him if she can become a vampire too when she grows up, he looks at Rosalind and sees the same question in her eyes. When you're ready, he promises them both. When the time is right, I'll give you eternity, if that's what you want. I want forever with you, Rosalind says, and Lily nods enthusiastically. Then forever it is, Dominic agrees, and pulls them both close, marveling at the strange and wonderful turn his life has taken. From lonely immortal to husband and father. Best trade he's ever made.